team is family to me. Not only the fans, but the players, the staff. Everything about this place is my home.
Let's jump in. We're here with Carlos, aka. Hold on a second, Cor. Hold on. I'm gonna get to you. Okay, all right. So we're here. I'm gonna try and do this quick because I know Cor's gonna try and cut me off again. Carlos M, aka President Bird.
Hello.
From the Crew 2 Discord, Discordeca, and Cor, who is wearing a hat, and he is also from the Crew 2 Discord. We want to jump in with you guys and learn about Crew 2, MLS Next Pro, the league. I expected to be cut off, but now...
Well, the thing is, I can't really cut you off there. What else do you have besides introductions, you know?
Oh, we don't have... This is unstructured.
Yeah, I liked your... I did like the interruption. Okay, so... Why don't we do a quick? I know we talked a little bit before we got started here, but why don't you kind of introduce yourselves and what role you play in the Crew 2 Discord and just more generally with the larger crew structure. Bird.
Yeah. Okay. Carlos or Bird. Call me what you want.
Bird.
We're members of the Crew Discord, right? There's it's for crew in general, and there's also where the whole Crew 2, the Capybara, the Columbus Capybara's idea, was born, and it's also where we talk a lot about that stuff. It's a lot of the original enthusiasm over the nickname, and a lot of the work and the memes that we've constructed came from there. So that's what we do. And I, Car and I and a couple other members of the Discord Decade, we manage the CapyBrava Twitter account, which is I am a terrible fan because I've only been to one Crew 2 game. But
you're in Denver.
Yeah, I do live far away, but I'm really glad that I did, that they made it to the Eastern Finals, because that's the game, and that was incredible. That was, top 5 games that I've been to. And, so yeah, and we manage that account. Core does a lot of work on that too. So do other people, and we're just trying to create and work on this space for fans of this new team that is really closely associated with the crew, and create a culture that is nice and positive and welcoming and fun, mostly.
Cool. So, Cor, what does the group look like? What role do you play in the group, and how do you all, what's your strategy for building a following?
Great question. All right, so. My role is basically just being a capo. I don't like saying that I do much more, but everyone says that I do much more. I help manage the CapyBrava account, and our group kind of just looks like a bunch of dudes who just showed up one day, who didn't show up in the Nordeck, who just showed up in one of the stands and just started heckling David Beckham's kid. And then
I wish Haas was here.
Yeah, Haas, that's like right up Haas's alley. He loves yelling at kids. It's like his favorite thing.
And then somewhere down the line, they started getting good. And then now we're at the north end, and there's I don't know, it started with 5 of us and now has grown to 25, which I say is great. I say it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And there are chants, and people have created merch, and there's all kinds of things, and it's all pretty organic and just people having fun.
So when did all this start? Take us back. What when did you all jump in or when did you all look around and notice each other and start chanting?
Well, what are you talking about? Are you talking about when it started online, or when we started going to games?
There's only 5 of you at the games. You just look around. You're like, we're friends now, right? Because there's 5 of us.
Yeah, I mean, I guess either or. What you're affiliated with the club, right? So tell us about how that happened.
So Bird made the comment. Everyone knows how this lore goes. Bird made the comment on December 6th, and was like, Columbus Capybaras are bust. And then everyone just went along.
It was the day they announced that we're going to have a crew too. Sorry if I'm really loud. And I just thought that the name Crew 2 was lazy and boring.
Super lazy.
Could have been much better. So alliteration came through in that one. And
yeah, Bird really did come through with that one. He was like, just like, it altered the timeline. Our timeline was going really well, and then it got better. But with that, the first few memes started going through, and one of the memes is the one that I have on my profile picture right now. It's just the Capybara wearing the 2021 gray jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's really like the first one that took off, and everyone was like, all right, we're going to go with this one. Because after it, too, people were also still coming up with like funny names, like just different names for it.
Yeah.
But after the meme, it was like, all right, Columbus Capybaras, it is. And then it just kept going. Then it just kept going like in the chat, like by ourselves, really. We didn't really say anything on Twitter. All we really did was we were just posting like just dumb capybara things that we could do. Like I remember one saying, let's all get in a van and then go to one of the away games as like a joke. And then I made a capybara in a van with like a crudely painted on side of the door just saying Crew 2 and then on tour or something.
Yes.
And it's just dumb stuff like that. But then
Were you going to games? Were you going to games at this point?
No, because games hadn't started until like March, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And so we kept the momentum going,
but
just as a joke.
Yeah.
It helped that during the same time, for some cosmic reason, the capybaras became really popular online too. No one were talking about them. And then the I Pull Up meme started going around with that really popular song. And then capybara accounts, maybe it's just selection bias for me, because on Twitter I follow soccer and those hourly animal accounts. That's the two things that I consume online. And
is there anything else online?
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know either.
And I just started seeing more and more capybaras, and I think that drew the enthusiasm and the attention from people who are outside of our little niche group of friends who were just carrying on, taking a joke a little bit too far.
Yeah, I just kind of thought it was like the algorithm. Like as soon as I said capybara, my phone was listening. It's like, tight, here's a bunch of just pictures of capybaras. And I'm like, they're everywhere. Everyone's talking about them. And I'm just assuming maybe that probably isn't the case. So you started the capybaras like 2021 December, and then they didn't start playing. So that was like right off the jump. I thought that came like mid-season. I missed.
No, a lot of people think that though. A lot of people think we just kind of, once the team was getting popular, we were like, okay, let's hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
We've been
crazy.
chanting for a while.
So you started the Twitter account. Let's plug that real quick.
Follow the CapyBrava at twitter.com. Use code CapyBrava for all your CapyBrava merch when you go to our website. Please click it. It doesn't cause a virus. I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't cause a virus. Click it.
All right. So
why is it a .net?
It's .gov actually. I just haven't
nice.
So beyond the Twitter, you're going to the games. What's your relationship? Like how does your role in the Capybaras tie into the Columbus crew? Or do those circles of the diagram cross over, or are you guys just all in Crew 2?
Well, I'm friends with Lauren Courtois, and I'm friends with Marco Micheletto.
You can bring them in. I know they're sitting right there. Just come on in, guys.
I know. Come on in, guys. Come on in.
They're fighting jiu-jitsu on the other room.
But our relationship started growing when Crew 2 at the beginning of the season, like I think after like 5 home games, they started liking the things that we were putting underneath because they weren't really. I assume some social media manager was looking like at the replies and questioning why there were replies in the first place for a second team, and then questioning even more why they were all just capybaras.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they just started liking them impulsively. They stopped liking them, which makes me sad. But you know, and then you have like actual players liking it, and the way it really took off was people think it took off in like July when they actually went to the zoo, but it actually took off when Noro Fusan first put on the capybara hat. He was on board. He was on board like long before everyone else.
Yeah, he went online and found a hat himself and shows up to a game wearing a hat with a capybara on it, and that was pretty sweet.
It was really sweet
for us. And I think so cool. One of the cool things that it relates is that the team was really, really successful this season, and that would draw, of course, engagement online and that kind of thing, and eyes into what I probably think the MLS and the crew themselves thought it's just a farm league project, but there was actual engagement with it. And we talked with someone from the league who talked to us as well, and they said, you guys got the most clicks, the most views on everything that you said. This is really picking up. That's awesome. So it helps with the getting the name out there, and it helped. I think I maybe I'm just being super arrogant, but I like to think that it helps brings more people to the games as well, because you'd see little kids, and sometimes they even had capybara plushies on them and that kind of stuff. So that's the connection I think that we can have with the crew organization as bigger. And we are all crew fans as well. During that span of time last year where we got scored, at the last minute of every game after game after game, I got a little depressed, and I said, I'm only going to watch Crew 2 games. I'm only going to discuss Crew 2 for, I'm solely a Crew 2 fan for a few weeks, which didn't seem too bandwagony. But
cleanses the palate.
Yeah, it was really cleansing. They're a really fun team to watch, and I'm really excited to see what they do this year.
So, talk more about. You said that it's not just a farm league. It's not just a farm team. Talk about MLS Next and what it is, how it plays into the broader soccer picture in the U.S.
So personally, I believe with that, I think it's only a Crew, Rochester, and St. Louis thing. I don't think it could, like, fan-wise, it's only those 3 teams. Like, no other team can replicate it.
Tell me more about what you mean by only St. Louis, Rochester, and Columbus.
So Rochester has had fans since, the 90s. They're basically the same age as Crew. It's their first team. A big thing is a reason like why we have so much fan engagement on that day is because they have fans coming from away days, and that's why St. Louis was playing their first team, and so that's the only reason why they had fans. And Columbus is just a weird story of coincidences and openness to like join in the thing. I personally like thinking the CapyBrava and like what's going on with Columbus is different than everyone else, because instead of just farming players, we're also farming fans, like younger fans, into like being supporters. And so, but yeah, that's like the thing that can only happen with us 3.
Well, and how many total teams are there in MLS Next?
21 was last season, but now I think we 2 more team joins, right?
Yeah, and then we have 3 that are joining in 2025.
Right. It's going to be 27 totals. It's been to 28 in 2023. Yeah.
And those 3 that are
going last year.
Oh, wait, no, we're having 2 join in 2025. Huntsville is joining next year or this year. So
in Atlanta and Charlotte and Carolina, right? There's a bunch of teams joining.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track. But yeah, so the MLS Next Pro is a league that I guess the MLS created to develop younger players. So it's organized so that teams will target players, as young as you see 16-year-olds playing, the really great kids from the academies, and give them a chance to play at a higher level so that they're prepared. I think that what they looked into is that you have all of these other countries around the world, in Europe or South America, where these younger standouts have the chance to play against higher competition. In the case of the US, that's harder to do because you're either playing club or you're doing your high school and stuff like that. And by the time you go to college, you have 18-year-old, 19-year-old phenoms who are already playing in the big leagues outdoors. So I think it's the idea to do that. They're doing some testing as well for rules, and we had that really weird yellow card rule that they try, and the 30 or 15-second downtime that you can have as a player, otherwise you have to get out for 3 minutes. So I think that they're also trying new rules to see how they operate in the game. So it's kind of a little bit of a lab for the MLS as well.
That's crazy. So I didn't know that. So I did a bunch of research like 10 minutes before we hopped on here to wrap my brain around this stuff.
Yeah.
So I heard the guy who's like in charge of it talk, and they're like, he went over a bunch of stuff that I thought was really interesting, but that stood out like a sore thumb because he was like, we're just going to test rules out in this league. And I was like, wait, what?
It's insane.
Like maybe, it's just like bonkers. They're going to be, I think they should like bring back, I envision that they're going to bring in that like orange card where you have to sit out. Like it's not a red card, but you have to sit out for 10 minutes, like the penalty box or whatever. I can't
wait for them to make a rule that makes absolutely no sense.
No sense.
Like no headers between 30 and 45 minutes of the game, or just it's gonna be great.
I just thought that was like, of all the things, it's like, we're gonna like bring up the youth, we're gonna grab stuff, we're just gonna make up rules and then something else. And I was like, you can't just skip over that. You can't just be like, we're gonna develop players.
One-on-one.
The one-on-one goal kick. That's also what I said.
15 time wasting rules. The cards, if you get a red, you're not allowed to. You're allowed to play for the next game, but once you have to play for against that specific team again, you're out.
Okay. Awesome. It's like the XFL or something like that, or the it's just like it's
cameras on the field. Those kinds of things.
The MTV thing where it has the 25-point basket.
Oh no, the cameras are terrible. I don't know if you guys watched.
Awful.
Yeah, we did watch it. It's like one guy on a handheld just. It's like, thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Is this going to be affected by the Apple deal, or is this totally separate still?
It will be affected.
It is?
The Apple has bought the rights to both MLS and MLS Next Pro, so MLS Next Pro will no longer be free, which is a big downturn for all of us.
It really big is, yeah.
But if you're buying the MLS Apple stuff, did you get that for free? Is it like an add-on, or is it like
it's like an add-on? No one else cares about it except for us in Rochester. Rochester's pissed.
Yeah. Well, Rochester was like the one team that was like a standalone team. I think St. Louis was supposed to have a team this year, but because of COVID, it got pushed back.
Why,
so
that's their first team. But then you have other independent teams coming in very soon, like Huntsville, Alabama.
Well, they're associated with Nashville, right? And then you have the Carolinas.
Well, they're associated with Nashville. They're associated with Nashville, but their structure right now seems like it's completely separate. It's like being funded by Rangers in your Orange County.
Interesting.
I see a North Texas soccer club.
That's the Dallas Academy team.
It's the Dallas Academy?
Okay. So these are essentially just academy teams.
Yes and no, yeah. So it's where the academy standouts go to play. So you can think about some of the crew players like Knight and remind me.
Aiden Wolf.
Yeah, Aiden Wolf. Like some of the kids who played for Zwadsky, Parente, they're all former crew academy players who are playing for crew too.
Yeah.
But you can also bring players from other teams, from other leagues, from other countries. Like the crew,
which we've done.
Yeah, and you can also steal really good players from other teams, like
San Jose.
Yeah, like San Jose and Rochester.
Yeah,
and Toronto with JRR.
What do you
Yeah.
mean, JR? What do you mean, Bert? JR is from Columbus. We have his homegrown rights. He is from here.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, he's always been a Columbus player.
Yeah, he's called the Pirate. Anyway, I'll keep going.
So how much do all the different teams put into it? Because it seemed to me that, like you said Rochester and the Crew, and that we were head above most teams when it comes to the talent and the interest and the investment in this. Is that something that's changing, or is it just we just happen to be that much better this year? Was it just because we focus more on that?
So, in terms of like everything to do on the pitch, Philadelphia is about to catch up. Philadelphia is preparing. They got they took this year off, but next year they're going to be unstoppable. They're going to be like prime time us. So we're gonna have to look out for that.
So Philly didn't have a team last year?
No, they did. They just didn't perform they performed well, but they just didn't perform as well as Columbus. They were. I mean,
half their starting team is like 15 years old.
Well, yeah,
they're all like
MLS.
Yeah.
All they have to do now is like put a 10-year-old in MLS Next Pro, and then we're fine.
Bingo.
But on the pitch, that's where we're heading right now. A lot of the teams that have really good academies are about to pick up and about to be really good. But off the pitch, Red Bull New York was announced to go to MLS Next Pro this season, and their fans who were fans of the USL team said, we're going to head out. Our team's dead. Our supporters are dead. We're out. And so that's really the mentality for a lot of these teams now, where it's just like, who cares? And so they're dipping, or they never existed, you know? There are some fans who show up, like Toronto had some ultras show up for the Philadelphia versus Toronto playoff game. And they showed up in a small section, and I asked if they would ever show up again. And they said, maybe. It's like if we have free time or something, you know? But Rochester, it's their first team. We respect the hell out of Rochester. They respect the hell out of us. I call it the friendly derby, or the Capybara derby.
Capybara.
Yeah, because they're the Rhinos. They're not Rochester New York FC.
The team formerly known as Rhinos, right?
No, team always known as Rhinos, Bird.
Yeah, just lost fans in New York. Thanks,
so it seems like the Crew has really embraced the Cappy nicknames. Do you think they're ever going to be just calling it Columbus Cappies or something like that? Or
no, I don't think so.
Great question. The answer is no, but great question.
All right, I know we have more to talk about, but let's take a quick break. The 2023 season is upon us, and with the new year brings us a new coach, a renewed excitement for the game, and endless twists and turns throughout the season. You're a part of our club, but it's time for you to join the team by becoming a season ticket holder. Visit columbuscrew.com/tickets or call 614-447-2739 to secure your experience. Listen, real talk here, we saved the Crew for a reason, right? We have the best fans in the best city in the U.S. Let's show up and prove it again. Visit columbuscrew.com/tickets online or call 614-447-2739 to secure your 2023 season tickets. See you at the game. So how does the Next Pro League fit into the larger picture, you know, with USL, formerly NASL? Where do the Next Pro teams exist in the larger pyramid?
Okay. Bird, do you want to go ahead? Because I have a lot of opinions on this.
Yeah. I'll say what I understand is just that it's the US soccer structure, professional soccer structure is really complicated. Because you have so many different leagues. Yeah, no. You know, one of the things that we always talk about is what is about promotion and relegation. And one of the things that talked about was saying, hey, with MLS Next Pro, are you gonna have Pro Rel? And then I don't think so, because are you gonna have, you know, end of the season a game that decides who is promoted, and it's the Crew 1 playing Crew 2? How does that work?
But
also
need to be different organizations, it seems like.
Yeah,
right.
And
plenty of teams in London, right? But like,
right, exactly.
I would note that there is different countries that have the second team can only play up to a certain level. So that's one thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah.
No, that's good tidbit. But I don't know. Wikipedia says that MLS Next Pro is it's like equivalent to a third division in the US, with the USL Championship being the second, which I tend to agree.
But then it also has the USL
second
League
division, League One,
fourth.
yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to. That's the question I had for you guys, is like trying to wrap my brain around that.
Yeah, is Next Pro more focused on youth development than the other leagues?
You're gonna find an average age on Next Pro is going to be much younger than the USL, I would think. Yeah, I mean, you had players who play for the USL team who were playing in the World Cup. Guys who were in their 30s, and you probably won't see that kind of experience and probably that kind of talent. Actually, no, there was one MLS Next Pro player that went to the World Cup for Costa Rica. But I think that kind of stuff will be much more common with the USL.
Well, Cor, what do you have to say about that? You said you had a lot to say about that type of thing.
Give us your hot takes.
A big thing with me is I believe in the conspiracy theory that they're trying to kill USL, personally.
Put the tinfoil hat back on. There we are.
There it is. But at the same time, I like the league for what it stands for. I like it for giving people a chance, but the way that the league has acted thus far with their expansion has really put me off edge. By going to Huntsville and then going to Cleveland and then going to Carolina, which is like great, but they're also like at the same time fighting with USL for these places, because in USL 2, Cleveland Force was announced like a year before Cleveland MLS Next Pro, and then in Huntsville, after Huntsville, like 2 months later, North Alabama SC was announced for USL 2. And then in Carolina, Carolinas. But it's just kind of those things. Like I personally believe that these two leagues are looking at each other and trying to be like, are you trying to start something? Are you trying to start a fight? And they're making tiny moves. And I don't know.
It's a business.
It's a business. I'm kind of like about the business itself. If we get like another independent team like Rochester, that's when I'm going to be like, okay. And I'm just going to step back just a little bit.
Yeah, because they were. I think of Rochester as a team that's been around for a while and always pretty competitive in the USL Cup and so on. Yeah. So, I mean, they've been around, that they probably was a part of USL, right?
Yeah.
They have a really traditional fan base, a lot of culture, a lot of history with that club. It's kind of, I'm not a fan and I haven't talked to them, but it might be kind of weird to be hijacked from the USL League where you're playing other independent teams to come and play. It's fun for them because they still got to play the Crew at historic Crew Stadium, so it makes it all worth it. But all the other things are probably pretty bad.
It's so far they're starting to realize what their place is in MLS Next Pro, and it's kind of getting sad. Because after we took one of their best strikers, I don't remember his name. I probably should remember his name. We took one of his best strikers for replacement for JR. They started being like, what the hell? Anyone can just kind of take our team, even our rival, at any point. And then,
make up rules.
It's like, I don't know. It's just it's such a weird thing to do.
Are there similar franchise fees and that are those transactions separate for the development of Next Pro and USL teams? Do you know?
A lot of them are hidden, so we do not know.
Answering this question would mean that I actually understand how franchise fees work in the MLS, and I don't.
Yeah,
that's also true.
Well, I mean, I'll put my tinfoil hat on, and I feel like, when Don Garber runs out of money, we get a new team. It's like
probably, yeah.
Like I am just always baffled by the shifting of what we hear on what's coming, and then a new team crops up in, say, Austin, right outside of San Antonio, where they had a formal bid in for a new team and that kind of thing. So I'm with you. It sounds murky.
Yeah, the whole thing, it's interesting because with USL I was always hoping, I think Cor's on the same page. I kind of agree where I really wanted that pyramid structure that we see in Europe and everything else where, you start at the bottom, and you work your way up or something to that effect. Or even, I like the promotion relegation, because regardless of if the Crew were to drop down to like a second division, I would still support. Like, I don't think our fan base being our fan base, we would still show up in the exact same number.
We would just be angry.
Yeah, it would be more angry. It would be good. It would be a positive thing, and what they keep saying is, well, we don't want these people to buy into this, and have these owners, spend all this money just to lose and go down to a second, thing. And I think with MLS Next, we're kind of looking at the death of pro rel, because I feel like they're, saying Crew 2 and, all these like secondary teams, it's kind of like a farm team situation. But at the same time, I think that could be positive in bringing up the youth and whatnot. And especially if you like, I just remember seeing the Clippers and going and seeing Darryl Strawberry play. Yeah. When they used to be like the farm team for New York. And it was like cool to see somebody drop down if they're injured to like kind of like work their way back. Mm-hmm. Or, how this year we saw like, Zawarski, and we saw, Russell Rowe come up and really, and Farsi, really come in and impact the Crew. And it would be awesome to have that relationship of like, a farm team in that, but also, where does USL stand and all that. And I think it's very funny. They were like, yeah, MLS Next Pro is going to be 3, and then USL is going to be 2. And it's like, well, the USL and MLS don't talk to each other. Like, it's not a thing.
Right, yeah.
It just makes me think they're trying to push out the USL. I completely agree with that.
I think they made it pretty clear that the only ones they want to work with now is Liga MX. That's that or nothing. That's a good point. At this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think this probably has roots in a few years ago when they passed a lot of the transfer policies, where clubs are getting certain percentages of the sell-on fees. And MLS looked at that and went, how are we going to capture more of that? And the answer is bring them in younger, move them up, move them on. And, and for us, I mean, it gives us something to watch. I love it. It's more to consume. It's better to watch people come through for 4 years versus 2.
I love consumerism.
Yep. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's a lot of what the MLS is trying to do, is trying to be a seller. They're trying to be a selling league.
Right. They try.
They want those Weston McKinney. Yeah, they want the Weston McKinneys. They want the Aaronsons. They want the Tower Adams. They want to push those guys through.
And then they can bring the older guys back, right? The Bales of the world.
They can afford to. Yeah.
That's sour. I don't know.
I think it brings on a really cool dimension. Like this year, we're getting these young guys coming in, and you see them play for Crew 2. It's like, oh, I wish he could come in and play for. And then he actually does, and they do make a difference
and make an impact.
And you can feel the crowd like, this is one of ours. Like this is one of ours. You want to see him succeed. Even 100%. Though they might come from somewhere else, but it's special.
Right. I think that it gives a lot of identity.
Yes.
Yeah, to those players, and I think that for the players and for the teams, it's really smart, and for the league too. And I think that what the Crew is doing with investing on Crew 2 and bringing all these good players and having a great coach on the head of it, and trying to, there was a lot of turnover, especially on the defense for Crew 2, with a lot of players going out. And as fans, we were talking amongst ourselves and say, who are we going to cheer for? Anyone going to stay? Or is it just going to be a 1-year stint, or players either going to MLS or USL or somewhere else? But we did get to keep a lot of our players. But you have, I was looking at the draft that the Crew just did, and you see a lot of players who are probably going to come straight to Crew 2, but players who. That's the mentality, it's finding those people who have so much potential, giving them a very competitive, high quality environment to grow in, with, the possibility even to play for the big guys when needed, and playing for, Josh Williams played for Crew 2 a couple of times when he was getting back in shape.
Right.
So you get the opportunity to play with those guys as well. I think it's a really smart way to go about it, and to just poach all of these great players from other academies as well, like we did with our draft, and bringing Rayo from Rochester. That's his name, Rayo. Yeah.
So are the rosters interchangeable? Or are there certain?
There are rules.
the waiting periods and yeah.
If a player plays for Crew 2, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 times. If they play 3 times for the Crew, if they want to play a 4th time, they have to sign a professional contract and become a player for the Crew.
Yeah. So far, we've only had 1. Or I think we've always
2. Farsi and JRR.
Both. I thought he was signed.
And Sands as well.
Oh yeah.
JRR was signed.
Yeah.
Are you sure that?
Yeah.
Are you sure that Mo actually played 3 games? I thought Mo was just after it was like 1 game and everyone was like, "Holy crap, Mo Farsi! Holy crap, Mo Farsi!"
He's very good. Yeah.
He's got a high ceiling. That guy is really good.
Yeah, he's very, very good. That's what all the Canadian Premier League fans were saying. They were so pissed when Mo Farsi came for this. What is this MLS Next Pro League? Like, why is he going to squander his talents there? And then he comes in and just destroys everything. And, he's now playing. I mean, I fully expect him to be the backup RB.
Yeah, we talked to a guy from the Balls Round up in Montreal, and he was so high on Farsi. He had so many good things.
Really good. We had a guy who came for the Toronto game, for the semifinal Toronto game, and he was a Calgary fan. He would not talk to us. I don't know if he was just pissed off that he had to come here to watch Mo Farsi play, because he was obviously there for Farsi.
Typical Calgarian or whatever it's called. Calgarian. Calgarian?
Targaryen.
Targaryen? Did he have a dragon?
But yeah. A lot of the Canadian Premier League fans are really split on it too. I dabble in the CPL a lot. They see it as a way for they like it because their players, the players that they love, can succeed in life, and you always want that at the end of the day. But they're also pissed because how are they supposed to get to the level of MLS at this point if they can't even have their own players without them going to their second teams?
Yeah.
Well, what are the games like? I mean, what's are they at historic Mafre? What
do you guys call it?
I call it a bunch of different names. Bird.
I just call it the Historic Crew Stadium. I fully embrace that. Yeah, again, I've been to 1 game. It was the final for the Eastern Conference, and it was great. It was a lot because I stayed with the CapyBrava, and there was a lot of actually groups from the Nordica that came as well. There was the people from the drummers and Corey. If you know the name of the groups, please give them shout outs because they were great.
A lot of the old Hudson Street Hooligan guys, Yellow Nation Army, Tooligans, which is the other supporter group for Crew 2, which is also kind of run by Yellow Nation Army, and then
Tooligans.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
TWO.
We'll get into that when it's my turn. Bird, continue.
Yeah, and so it was a lot more of a, communal, more like watching a game with your friends and you can actually impact the players on the field. They can hear you really well. One of the bits that the guys make is telling the goalies to tuck their shirt in. And so the whole game you're yelling at them to tuck their shirt in, and yelling at their goalie the whole time. And at that last minute set piece goal that they scored, that the goalie had come to tie the game. I think was it 3-3? No, 2-2 at the very end of the regular time.
That game was awesome.
Yeah, their goalie just runs right up to us, and he's giving us the "I can't hear you" or "be quiet" and things like that.
Did he tuck in his shirt?
No, he did not tuck in his shirt.
I thought you were going to say he came over and he was tucking in his shirt.
Yeah, sure wasn't even tucked, and it was great. It's really good. You see. I think a younger crowd too. A lot of younger kids go to these games. It's a cheap family friend activity to do on a Sunday, without all the belligerency and.
I wanted to ask. I was told tickets are cheaper, and then food is cheaper, and beer is cheaper, significantly across the board. Can you guys speak to that?
Yes. We did have a problem with the Toronto semifinal though. They raised the price to $25, and we were pissed. But a big thing is that it's a significantly cheaper. It's like 90% of the time the parking's free unless it's like Cincinnati. But yeah,
were hot dogs like $1 or something?
It was $1 brat night. Yeah,
$1 brat night. Is that like across the board $1 brat night?
No, it's a gimmick thing to get people to come, but it works.
Yeah, it should. I mean,
and they had for a good amount of time that you could bring your own food into the stadium as well.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So
just walk in with a pizza.
Yeah, some people like walking with lasagna.
And yeah, that's a really good offering for family. And now these people here are family people just like me, and I have season tickets. I have 2 season tickets, and if we all go and with food and all that stuff, I mean, we're starving for the rest of the week.
You gotta just go for $1 brat night, buy them out, and then put them in the fridge at home, and then you can afford it. Well, Bird, let me ask you, what's the schedule like? You know, is it, you know, does the schedule run the same as MLS?
It was a shorter season.
Okay.
Because we had less teams. And I hope that they change that next season, but they only had divisions play amongst themselves. So, you know, like the Crew 2 never played the Rapids 2, which is something that I would really like to. I'll be the only Crew 2 fan there. Telling their goalkeeper to tuck in his shirt. But I think most of the games are on Sundays, usually early morning to mid-afternoon. They had a lot of games that had to take water breaks during the summer because they were playing at some pretty brutal 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Game schedules. And I think they had a couple of midweek games, but not as much, again, because it's going to be completely different this season with going from 21 to 28 teams.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they have at least a couple cross-conference games for every team, but we don't know.
Do they play weekly games?
Yep.
Yeah.
We had a bye week because I think that our division had one less team. It was 21, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So the Eastern Conference had a bye week.
So there's 2 divisions, East-West?
Yep.
Those are conferences. Okay. We have 4 divisions.
Oh yeah, sorry, conference.
That's what I thought. Can you explain that? Because like I checked out then. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Each conference has 4 or 5. It's split into Central, Eastern, Midwestern,
Pacific, and Western. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a bunch of dumb stuff. Like, you know, I say that I'm gonna put it on a banner that we won the conference. We won our conference. We won the Eastern title. We won the top of the league, and we won the cylinder. But in reality, it's 3 trophies. But you know, saying that you won a conference is pretty cool.
It's kind of like how they divide. I think that's them trying to NFLize this thing by having like 2 different divisions and then the different, I don't know, conferences.
It feels like that's one of those things where they're just throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah,
like
they're trying to build some rivalries, right? They're trying to establish
narratives and rhetoric.
Yeah, that's testing for sure, because they start to get a lot of teams, and this is one way they can keep expanding. You know, they're all about expansion and the money coming in.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was told, so like another thing besides the rules, they were saying that in that interview I was listening to is that, you know, we have Columbus, you know, Crew 2 is in Columbus, and a lot of the, you know, the secondary teams are in the cities that they are playing for, but they're looking at moving them to adjacent cities to expand fan base. So like it would be like Columbus Crew 2 moving to Dayton. Like none of that's confirmed, but they said a lot of people are. For us in Columbus, what's great is I don't think that's going to happen. Well, yeah, but for us for sure. But like for other people,
I know.
When you said Nashville, their farm team was going where?
Huntsville, Alabama.
Huntsville. Yeah. So that's like taking another because there is a lot of pockets. You know, Rochester being one of them. That is soccer hotspots. Yeah, that were like really, really, really. Because I grew up playing soccer, and like a bunch of these random cities had like awesome players that were like, you know, Rochester was one of them. Like some solid players came from like Rochester.
Yeah.
So I don't think Columbus is going to have that because we have historic Crew Stadium, Estadia, FUDF Stadium, or wherever. Yeah, it's already here. There's no reason for them to move. They have everything already here, so we're probably safe. But
all right, before we get into that, let's take a quick break.
Sorry, I'm here for business. Discordaca, it's Discord Echo. It's Discord Echo.
Discord.gg/crew96.
That's discord.gg/crew96. Join today.
All right. So I do want to, for the people that don't know, or, the listeners that like don't really know, kind of go over the, last season was the first season. How did we do? How did we do it? And, kind of where we're at and where we hope to go, kind of like bookending this whole thing. So, we kind of got what in, MLS Next is, kind of how the Cappies, how you guys created this culture, how you guys created, the Capybara, where we're at, where they can find it. Last season we won the cup. How did we do that, and with who?
Lauren Courtois, Mo Farsi wasn't on this roster. Jason Russell Rowe. I'm kidding. I was about to list the entire roster, but
the coach. So the coach, it's worthwhile to say that the coach is French, correct?
He is French.
Yeah, and our new coach is also French.
And they play two very similar styles of soccer as well. If you look, I was so excited to have this because, the Crew 2 won everything. They had the most assists, the most goals, the best defense, the best offense, the most points.
It was crazy.
It was the first time, and they just took everything that they could. It was completely bonkers. And I think that, it was a team that was really, really fun to watch because you had them playing on a 3-5-2 formation that both Courtois and Nancy like to use. But on the Crew's 3-5-2, you see those outside center backs on that back three line actually join the attack a lot and overload those sides while the right wing back or left wing back would come back. And so there was a lot of movement within the movement outside. If you go back to watch some of those Crew 2 games, just watch the movement off the ball from the players.
He played a 3-5-2.
He played a 3-5-2 for most of the. Yeah, you had for most. And which is a formation that I particularly really like.
Me too.
So you have both levels of the Crew, supposedly with bringing Nancy in, being able to be plugged in and play that formation, play that philosophy. So I'm really excited for that French connection between the two of them. And Moreira being the best right back in the league also, and being French.
But do you think he'll be a wing back, or do you think he'll be like one of the three center backs?
Moreira?
Yeah.
Moreira will probably play right wing back, I would assume. Either that or I don't know what formation they were going to play. They might go with the 3-4-3 as well. And if they do that, then it's kind of hard to know if he's going to play like right midfield or right wing back.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because Farsi and Sands would be awesome in that because they love to get in the attack. They love getting up and down. I was kind of bummed that Pedro left because I felt like he had like maybe one good season as a wing back. Yeah, that's like where he was at, but was not to be. So they played a 3-5-2. They went out and just stomped people. And one of the standout guys that we were talking about is Jason Russell Rowe, or JRR. Some people call him the Pirate. We're not here to debate any of that, what we're going to call him. But he was an absolute monster. Like that dude scored, and was it all him, or was it like the system he was in? Like
everyone. Sorry, go finish your question.
Go ahead. I don't know. So I watched, full disclosure, we as a pod, like I followed all the games on FOTMob immediately. Like I always like looked and saw like, stats. I did all that stuff, nerded out on that, but I didn't watch but maybe like 10 games in total. I was at the final. That's the only one I was physically at.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of it was Jason Russell, Mo Farsi, but you have like, it wasn't all just them. Like the talent that we have there besides Mo Farsi, JR, like because we have really good captain, we have a really good coach, we have really good staff working. It's a group collective thing.
But also the way they position themselves on social media, Twitter, YouTube, it was always like goofy. It was like kind of a goofy friendship. It seemed like they were all friends. Like everything they posted was them hanging out, having fun, and you guys doing the whole Cappy thing, like played into it. And I felt like they just leaned into that hard. Like so if you created that stuff off the jump, they just leaned into that and they said, all right, our identity is not going to be this like professional, buttoned up team. Like it all seemed like they had fun and was, like you said, like one of the players like went out and bought a hat, like everybody, but it seemed like it was the whole team.
Yeah.
Like everybody was just like having fun. They were taking films of them at practicing and stuff like that. And they were just laughing and like,
I don't know how to put it. So crew. Okay. So two things. One, they are all friends. Like I've talked to all of them before. All of them are great friends. We gave them a scarf. They hung it up inside of the locker room. They're wonderful with us. They love each other. Like they're all. It's really fun to watch these collective groups of people, especially with our name being the Capybaras and Capybaras being known for their friendship and collective crewness.
And they're cute.
Yeah,
they're cute.
But like they run in crews.
Yeah, they run in crews, and it's like
my goal for. Sorry to interrupt, but my goal for this year, and if you guys want to support me, every once in a while, a couple times a month, I'm tweeting at the Merriam-Webster dictionary to have crew recognized as a term for a group of capybaras, like murder crowds.
Awesome.
That's my 2023 resolution is to change the English language in that way.
We're gonna do it because we're gonna provoke to exist.
Yeah, one of the things Cora saying how I think that maybe I'm being grandiose again, but giving the players that identity that was a little bit different from the main team. Like they're the Capybara, they're like kind of like their own thing. They have their own identity. They have their own little traditions and things. I think maybe that helped create what seems to be a very cohesive unit and a really good locker room culture as well. I think it's just silly, maybe breaking the ice. And my favorite non-game memory for last season was I was doing on Twitter. I was trying to raise money for the Friends of the Olentangy Watershed, which is a nonprofit there in Columbus, by giving out shirts. And I said, what would be cool? It was still in the beginning of the season, but I reached out to Marco Micheleto, the captain of Crew 2, and I say, hey man, I'm gonna buy this shirt from Support Supply Co. It's the one that has the capybara. It says, "Don't worry, be happy, be cappy." It has a little capybara on it. And I said, hey, if I send this to you, would you get the guys to autograph it? And he was super for it. He got it. He autographed. We gave the giveaway. We raised a bunch of money for that a good cause. And he was the one himself who gave to one of our friends at the Discordeke to give to the person who won the draw. So that kind of, that's the other great thing about this, let's say, minor league team, is how close you can be with some of the people that you're watching and that you are following so closely. They respond to you when you can do that kind of stuff, and you can have that a little bit of that relationship with them.
We'll keep an eye out. Keep us posted with when the schedule comes out. What key games we need to keep an eye out for, and
absolutely.
And,
come watch the games with us. We'll be mostly watch the games and we discuss it, and the Discordeke. We'll just talk through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hopefully we have better broadcasting next year.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what that looks like.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, Bird, Cor, thank you guys for making time to get on, and look forward to checking out the Crew 2 this season.
Absolutely, guys. And we'll keep in touch.
Oh, come on, Cor.
Don't get out of job, Cor. Don't take my job.
Perfect
close. One more time. All right.
Yeah,
follow
please.
the CapyBrava on Twitter, twitter.com/CapyBrava. If you don't know where that is, then go on twitter.com/Discordeka. If you don't know where that is, go on the Nordeca Twitter, twitter.com/Nordeca. And if you don't know where that is, I'm not helping you through the entire process. Figure it out.
All right. Well, you know what we say at the end of the show. Mars, where we at?
We say, go Crew 2.
Go Crew.
Go Crew
2.
Yeah.
Go Cappy.
Cappies.
Thanks, everyone, for joining the club. We hope you'll listen next week and every week, even in the off-season, to celebrate or commiserate. We'll save you a seat. If you like this podcast, please give us 5 stars and subscribe. You can email us at upper90clubpod@gmail.com. That's upper90clubpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at upper90clubpod. Go Crew!
No, you keep singing.
You and all your friends say you love to get naughty, sipping on that henna, love that Bugatti. Thank you for you guys. Take it back in the car. Okay, I pull up.